Aries.
Hello Aries, this is your astrology forecast for that of September 2015. And this month is starting off beautifully with a conjunction between Venus and Mars. So romance. This is a day to circle on your calendar there to have a nice date. For those of you who are single, this could be a date where you could find a significant other. Venus being in the sign now here of Leo, Mars being in Leo as well, it's a time where that the heart is felt extra strong, and it's in a sister sign of yours. It's a fire sign. So, and not only that, but your conjunction falls in the 5th house, and that is for love and romance, for having a good time, fun and play, and bringing it out the inner sunchild, right? So make sure that you start off this month on the best note that you can. Don't sit at home, especially if you are single. But even for those of you in a long-term relationship, this is one of those times where you can rekindle the fire, and it's so important to keep that fire going, because what it is you breathe into your partner, that is what your partner will breathe back into you. So a 5th house is also your children, so it might be a fun time for your children right now to spend more time with you. Maybe you can be out and about doing something special for them. Or those of you having older children, well, maybe they are starting something new, a new chapter in their own life too, that I think you'll be quite happy for as well. So Aries, we're looking here at what is Mars going to do here after the 1st? Well, it is going to be lining up here with Uranus, which is that unpredictable factor, the wow factor, like now what, right? Things coming to you straight out of the clear blue. That is what Uranus does. That's going to be on the 8th. So Mars being in your 5th house, and Uranus for you in your 1st house, it's between the 1st house, your personality, where Uranus is wanting to change up the rhythm, the game, and your partner here in the 5th house. So there could be something unexpected, something surprising. We always like that Uranus factor. Why? Because it keeps things sparkling and new and energetic. Let's talk about Uranus in that 1st house for a little bit, because many of you Arians, you've been going through this change in your life. From one pattern into the other. Uranus is awakening you spiritually. It's your higher consciousness that is breaking through. And I know those of you born in the 1st half of your sign, you've already been touched by this blessing. And I think that you can underwrite to your fellow Aries that life has been nothing but exciting. A lot of changes, not just the changes that you initiate yourself, but also those changes that have come to you from the outside environment. And sometimes that can be a little unsettling if we're not expecting it, right? We're heading down this main road and here comes this change. However, though, I think even that is something that you firstborn Aries can underwrite to your fellow Arians, that in the aftermath, you're looking at how those changes actually amplified the quality of your life, set you on to a new path where consciousness has become totally different, right? So stay attuned with Uranus. You want to pay attention. It's 19 degrees, so it still has until it goes out here in 10 and a half more degrees, and we should then be entering into the sign of Taurus. While we're speaking about your 1st house, you are going to have a visitation there by the full moon this month. Won't be before later in the month on the 27th. 4 degrees there in Aries. And so what that's going to do, it's going to illuminate your personality. 1st house is always how you radiate, how you shine, how you present yourself. And so somehow you're going to probably steal the spotlight here on the 27th. Those things that you've been working at, Aries, will now come into fruition. I feel it's harvest time for you, so let's hope that that's going to be a great 27th. Now, the new moon will show up in your 6th house, which has to do with your day-to-day routines. This will occur on the 13th. at 20 degrees of Virgo. And the sixth house always has to do with how you organize your life. You know, once a year when the new moon is here, we get that extra help, this extra push from the universe to look at how we can line things up so we can become more efficient in our life. Whether that means clearing the desk or your pantries or your closets, one of those things where we do a deep clean so that our lives will run much more smoothly. But the sixth house is also health. So you might become more aware of looking at your diet, working out. Are you working out enough? Do you want to work out more? Those kind of things too can become very important here under the new moon, as it is time to also write your abundance check. And some of you may still come across and ask me questions. How do I write it out? When do I write it up? When do I tear it up or put it aside? You can go to my webpage and you'll find more about that. You'll also find the video of how to write the abundance check for yourself. That is 13th of September and showing up at 20 degrees Virgo. Now, all that being said, let's take a look at what we can otherwise expect. On the 9th, we have Mercury and Pluto squaring on each other. In fact, we're going to have that happen twice this month. Why? Because Mercury is going to go retrograde, so it's going to touch over it once, it's going to turn around, come back, and that retrograde is taking place on September the 17th and will be retrograde until October 9th. So what happens under that first square? That is September 9th. Mercury has to do with your thoughts, okay, your communication, how you structure your mind in a linear sense. Now, Pluto wants to change things, not like Uranus does, more on a deeper, more transformative level. So when the square comes, there might be a challenge. And for the most part, as humans, we don't really like those challenges because we feel it as an obstacle. However, though, those challenges are blessings in disguise. When we see them for what they are, when we don't throw our emotions into it, we can look at the challenge and say, wow, this is an opportunity. An opportunity for what? It's an opportunity to change up things. And for you, you have Mercury in your 7th house, so it's coming from the area of your relationships, whether with your significant partner, or it could be somebody you're working with closely, one-on-one. And Pluto is in the 10th house for career, or those areas where you're working to try to achieve something. So you'll be up against a little bit of a challenge. It could be that you might need to make a decision, or there might be things that you've been thinking about for a while and not really have been voicing. This will be the time it will come up and out. And so, yes, you might not find your resolve on this day, September 9th, but you will have a second chance later in the month when Mercury retrogrades go back over that point, which will be on the 24th. So pay attention to the 9th and 24th. Whatever worked for you, that's good. Keep your course ongoing for when you meet up with it again on the 24th. If it didn't happen to work out too well the first time around, the universe is giving you that second chance on the 24th. So pay attention to what conflict or challenge or what the deal may be for you. And again, it's somewhere within the career or working closely one-on-one with a partner, so it could be your significant other too. So the opportunity is, how can we improve? How can we make this better? That's what it's all about, and that's what we love about astrology. So 17th, Jupiter right now. Jupiter is going to oppose Neptune, and Jupiter being in your 6th house, Neptune in your 12th house. Well, Jupiter is wanting to expand for you now, this area of your health, and it's moved into your 6th house, where it's going to be for an entire year. You've had the blessing of the 5th house, but now you're shifting. And when we shift consciousness, things are always at the strongest point. Jupiter here is wanting you for this year, look at how you can improve your health. It will grow and expand everything in this area. But be aware that Jupiter being abundant, it can also grow the waistline if you're not too careful. So it's all about becoming conscious, the foods that you put in, and but it being opposed to Neptune here on the 17th. Neptune is your subconsciousness, it's your creativity, it's your higher mind. And when it comes to this opposition, Jupiter may be saying something like this to Neptune. Hey, listen, I want to grow this area of my life. How do I do it? How do I do it most creatively? How can I find the inspiration without self-sabotaging? Now, when Neptune receives its squares and oppositions, we want to be a little careful, because as good as Neptune is, and as much as we love Neptune, it can self-sabotage, especially because it's in your 12th house where it rules, and this is the house of self-undoing. So be careful that you don't take anything to the extremes because you love it so much, right? Jupiter loves to love what it loves. And so it is at an extreme point. Since it's coming from the 6th house, maybe you will overeat and go into food coma for an hour or two, like pastas and those kind of dishes can do. You might experience that. You might want to be careful not taking that one drink too many perhaps on this day, or if you're out saying gambling, be careful that you don't have the illusion of that Jupiter is going to bring it to you, because Jupiter is saying, I can do this, I can handle this, you know, and Jupiter wants to do a lot, and then comes the self-undoing. So we got that going here on the 17th. On the 22nd though, back to our love, here in the 5th house, it is now trining Uranus. So on the 1st, you had Venus-Mars. Now we have Venus-Uranus. Uranus is going to knock on that door of the unexpected, but it's a great aspect. It's a trine. So Venus might just want to surprise you with something unexpected. And again, it's between you and the 5th house. So you and your partner and your love. And for those of you single, if you didn't find anybody new there on the 1st, this is a second chance here this month that you want to circle in on your calendar. For those of you who met somebody new on the 1st, this might be a new step in this new relationship on the 22nd, which is coming together really, really nice. It's a time where you probably also want to surprise your partner. 23rd, the Sun and Saturn, it feels safe, it feels secure, there's a sextile, you're feeling good, you're feeling grounded. Saturn's coming to you and saying, this is feeling great. Now, I have to say, though, that Saturn has just moved out a couple of days prior out of that 8th house and out of the sign of Scorpio. On the 17th, where it has been operative for the last 2.5, 3 years, it's just moved into this new area of your chart, the 9th house, which has also to do with expansion and dreams and foreign places, people, cultures, and interacting and publishing, those kind of things, getting the word out to the world at large. So Saturn now is going to be stable here in this area for the next 2.5 to 3 years. And the Sun, this is like the first aspect the new Saturn is going to get, and it's from your Sun, meaning that you're feeling good. It's a great start. Something feels stable, grounded, well-rooted. And of course, you've been working right here in this area, what you tried to establish last December. So here it comes again, and it's going back over those degrees of last December, early January, and now you can pick it up, and now you can start running with it, and you should come to see more continuity with it as well. So we have the 24th. Here we have that second Mercury-Pluto square. It will re-trigger what took place on the 9th. You will have a second chance to communicate, to settle, negotiate, figure out, and resolve that can work for both you and your partner, or between you and your higher ups, your manager, supervisor, whatever. And I feel that this is going to linger a little bit here into the 25th, because then we have Mars and Saturn square. All right, so Pluto was just square, wants transformation. Mars wants action, and Saturn wants security. Mars and Saturn square, it's between pretty much here, your 5th, 6th house, it's right there on the cusp, and it's squaring off on Saturn there in the 9th house. So it has to do with justice, what you feel is right for you, what you deserve, what you don't deserve. So there might now be this good opportunity to weed out those things that you no longer want to take on and say, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to aim. And I feel that you can come out on top here if you're using now your Saturn in a good way, meaning taking charge of your life, feeling that you are empowered. If you're giving away your power to others or the external energy in your life, you might just feel that they will come and grab that opportunity. So it's all about you knowing your worth and then holding your worth and being gracious about it as well. So we have a few events this month, and I will go quickly through it. We have Venus that now will end its retrograde, which it has been doing in August, and it will go direct there, depending on where you live, between the 6th and 7th of September. For you, it's all in that 5th house, okay? So you're still there in that area of love and creativity, self-expression. If you feel now that, yes, you've had a few weeks of going back over emotions of the past or people of the past or even love relationships of the past, you've had time to reflect, to heal, let go, but here we are, we're moving forward. And for those of you in your new relationships, you will feel that that's going to pick up a lot of speed after the 7th. Mercury retrograde, we mentioned it. It will retrograde there on the 17th of September through October the 9th. And it will retrograde back to 0 degrees there in Libra. So the whole motion is going on in your 7th house for relationships, your partnerships. So it's not going to dip back into the 6th. So this is where Mercury is wanting to tweak and figure out how you're communicating, what you're communicating with your partner. And so sometimes we really do like Mercury retrograde. We don't like it when it starts harassing all our electrical equipments and the computers go down with viruses and all that. That's such a hassle. In the 7th house, though, it's more in the living environment, not the technology. So it will give you at least time to think, discuss, and figure out your resolve. On the 17th, we have Saturn moving out of Scorpio and now moving into your 9th house, which I believe you will love, because in this time frame of the 3 next coming years, you're going to be growing your sense of wisdom, knowledge, to the point that you are going to start, probably some of you might start teaching within this 3-year period, meaning giving out, sharing your knowledge base. Mars moving out of Leo and into the area of Virgo will take place there on the 25th. So Mars will then be focusing more on your day-to-day routines, schedules, your health issues, and how you cooperate with those around you in your daily life. Pluto has been retrograding for several months in your area here of career. So you will feel, especially for those of you that has felt things have slowed down a little bit, the last 4 to 5 months, you'll see how this is going to start picking up and moving forward again. It takes a little time after a retrograde to start moving forward, so don't expect everything right away, but at least it's not retrograding. So you will see over the next couple of months how it's really going to take off and bring to you those things that you have aimed for. So this is what we have for you here this month. Aries, do listen to your moon and your rising sign to get more insights. And I'd say also listen to your partner, see what's going on with him or her and where these beautiful conjunctions for love is showing up in his or her chart. Excuse me. It's always exciting because then you can see how it's going to correlate to you in the coming month. So this is what we have, and I will see you next month in October. If you haven't listened to your tarot reading, I would suggest that you can go do that too now.